Hey everyone, we'll be continuing Halloween week with some of the folklore and legends of Halloween. We have some modern ones and even some ancient ones, and stories from all over the world. Hopefully you enjoy these and learn something you never did about one of the darkest holidays around. The Irish brought the tradition of carving pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns to America, but the original jack-o'-lantern was not a pumpkin, as pumpkins did not exist in Ireland. Ancient Celtic cultures carved turnips on All Hallows' Eve and placed an ember inside of them to ward off evil spirits. As the original tale goes, several centuries ago, amongst the myriad of towns and villages in Ireland, there lived a drunkard known as Stingy Jack. Jack was known throughout the land as a deceiver, manipulator, and otherwise dreg of society. On one fateful night, the devil overheard the tale of Jack's evil deeds and silver tongue. Unconvinced and envious of the rumor, the devil went out to find for himself whether or not Jack lived up to his vile reputation. Typical of Jack, he was drunk and wandering through the countryside at night when he came upon a body on the cobblestone path. The body, with an eerie grimace on its face, turned out to be Satan. Jack realized somberly that this was his end. The devil had finally come to collect his malevolent soul. Jack made one last request, though. He asked the devil to let him drink ale before he departed to Hades, and finding no reason not to grant the request, Satan took Jack to the local pub and supplied him with many alcoholic beverages. Upon quenching his thirst, Jack asked the devil to pay for the tab on the ale to Satan's surprise. Jack convinced Satan to change himself into a silver coin with which to pay the bartender. Impressed by Jack's unyielding nefarious tactics, the devil shrewdly agreed. Jack stuck the now transformed Satan into his pocket, which also contained a crucifix. The crucifix's presence kept Satan from escaping this form. This coerced the devil to agree to Jack's demand. In exchange for Satan's freedom, he had to spare Jack's soul for 10 years. Well, 10 years later, to the date when Jack originally struck his deal, he found himself once again in Satan's presence. Jack happened upon the devil in the same setting as before and seemingly accepted it was time to go to Hades for good. As the devil prepared to take him to hell, Jack asked if he could have one apple to feed his starving belly. Foolishly, the devil once again agreed to his request, and as Satan climbed up the branches of a nearby apple tree, Jack quickly surrounded its base with crucifixes. Satan, frustrated at the fact he had been entrapped again, demanded his release, and as Jack did before, he made a demand that his soul would never be taken by Satan into Hades. Satan agreed and was set free. Eventually, the drinking and unstable lifestyle took its toll on Jack, and he died the way he had lived. As Jack's soul prepared to enter heaven through the gates of St. Peter, he was stopped. Jack was told by God that because of his sinful lifestyle of deceitfulness and drinking, he was not allowed into heaven. The dreary Jack went before the gates of hell and begged for commission into the underworld. Satan, fulfilling his obligation to Jack, could not take his soul. To warn others, he gave Jack an ember, marking him a denizen of the netherworld. From that day on, until eternity's end, Jack is doomed to roam the world between the planes of good and evil, with only an ember inside a hollowed turnip to light his way. The classic Halloween campus murders is a legend that seems to affect every generation. It resurfaces, spreads widely, and sends many students into paranoid fits or into hiding the weekend of or before Halloween. Each major circulation of the legend seems to occur several years after the previous one. showing that once a completely new batch of students enters the campus, the tale is allowed to thrive once more, usually every 4 to 5 years. The story's first known appearance was in the Midwest in the late 1960s, perhaps inspired by Richard Speck's murderous attack on 9 nurses in a Chicago rooming house a few years earlier. It has since seen numerous outbreaks, most notably in 1979 throughout the Midwest, 1983 nationwide, 1986 in central Pennsylvania, and 1991 in New England. And it made a huge comeback in 1998, probably with the help of the release of the movie Urban Legend. The basic story behind the legend is that a psychic has predicted a crazed killer will strike on the college campus on or near Halloween, with the psychic providing only vague clues about which campus will be targeted. These clues are ambiguous enough to allow them to be applied to nearly every college campus in the country. Nearly all of the details of the legend, when and where the prediction was made, who the killer will be, what weapon the murderer will wield, which campus he will strike, what buildings the slayings will occur in, and how many students will be killed, vary according to where and when the legend is repeated. Some of the more common variations include the following. The psychic who makes the prediction was usually said to have been Jean Dixon. After her death, the legend simply refers to a psychic. Sometimes the prediction is one even made by Nostradamus rather than a modern-day psychic. The TV shows on which the psychic is said to have made the prediction have included ones hosted by Phil Donahue, David Letterman, Johnny Carson, Oprah Winfrey, Montel Williams, Geraldo, and Joan Rivers. The potential murderer is usually reported to be a crazed student, professor, maintenance worker, escaped convict, maniac from an insane asylum, or, strangely enough, someone dressed as Little Bo Peep. Some people even claim that it is now illegal to dress as Little Bo Peep on Halloween in certain college towns. The expected number of victims is usually a specific number ranging anywhere from 9 to 20, and the murder weapon is always some type of sharp object, such as an axe, hatchet, or knife. The campus to be struck is usually one starting with a specific letter adjacent to some type of related landmark, such as a mental institution or cemetery. Even though the legend has been circling for decades, with nothing ever really coming from it, many students in 1998 were still being advised not to go anywhere alone and to watch out for suspicious individuals. As to how this legend got started in the first place, one folklorist noted in his collection of campus lore, the coincidence of the rumors, with the darkening fall season, the mistrust of the security of institutional life, especially for students away from the haven of home, and the setting of many campuses in isolated areas undoubtedly feeds these rumors. He suggests that as colleges eased the restrictions of dormitory life and took a much less active role in the students' personal lives, students came to see campuses as more open but less protected places, potentially open to dangerous strangers. This next legend is hard to find a lot of information on, but I couldn't leave it out because it's always been one of my favorites. The Cutty Black Sow. A sow, in case you don't know, is a female pig. The Cutty Black Sow is a demon or monster from Welsh folklore that resembled a black sow with glowing eyes that walked on its hind legs like a human. The sow would prowl the land on the night of All Hallows Eve looking for victims so that it could steal their souls. The creature was basically a local boogeyman type legend, and bonfires were lit to keep it away. The townsfolk would stay up with the fire all night long to make sure it burned completely away on its own, and make sure the Cutty Black Sow was warded off. There is evidence in the writings on the creature that it may have been the form the devil took to walk the earth on the night of Halloween. The 80s horror anthology series Tales from the Dark Side featured an episode on the Cutty Black Sow, which is where the picture you are seeing now is from. Despite the now overly cheesy effects, it is a great show and was a great episode that had a very chilling and atmospheric feel to it. I really recommend you look it up online if you're into that kind of thing, or if you like shows like The Twilight Zone or Outer Limits. I really don't know too much else about this legend. It's kind of hard to find information on it. But if you know anything about this that maybe I didn't cover here or that's not in the episode of the show, or if anyone that's from that area that this legend is from happens to hear this and maybe this story has been passed down through your family, definitely let me know, because I would love to learn more about this legend. Like I said, it's always been one of my favorites. While it is quite a bit different from Halloween, and its origins from the Festival of Samhain, the Hungry Ghost Festival serves as a similar holiday in some Asian countries. In Chinese culture, the 15th day of the 7th month in the lunar calendar is called Ghost Day, and the 7th month in general is regarded as Ghost Month, in which ghosts and spirits, including those of the deceased ancestors, come out from the lower realm. On the 15th day, the realms of heaven and hell and the realm of the living are both open, and Taoists and Buddhists perform rituals to transmute and absolve the sufferings of the deceased. Intrinsic to the ghost month is veneration of the dead. Activities during the month would include preparing ritualistic food offerings, burning incense, and burning a papier-mâché form of material items such as clothes, gold, and other goods for the visiting spirits. Elaborate meals are served to empty seats for each of the deceased in the family, treating the deceased as if they're still living. Other festivities may include buying and releasing miniature paper boats and lanterns on water, which signifies giving directions to the lost ghosts and spirits of the ancestors and other deities. There are also many taboos for this time of year, and breaking them can easily anger the spirits and put you in danger, even mortal danger. Some of which include: do not stay out late at night. Try to be home by 11 p.m. It is believed that spirits grow stronger at night, especially after sunset, and a spirit may possibly follow you home. Do not respond when you hear your name being called late at night. Spirits may be calling out for you for help, and if you respond, then you must help. Or it could be an evil spirit trying to trick you. Do not step on anything that was used for prayer, or any place that had prayer before. Spirits wouldn't like people to step on their foods or belongings. Do not take pictures of the ceremonies unless allowed. Photographs seem to capture the spirits. Never sit on the front row of any performance. They are reserved for the spirits. If you are burning incense paper, do not stir the pot to mess up the ashes. You could mess up the transfer of items to the netherworld. Never place your child near the offering altar, as a hungry ghost might mistakenly devour the child, thinking that it is an offering. Travel plans that include boats and planes are best postponed to avoid any mishaps caused by mischievous ghosts. Also, visits to the jungle or deserted areas, or standing under a tree or bus stop during nighttime is better avoided. You might just invite a wandering spirit home with you. Do not wear red or black. You could attract a hungry spirit if you wear anything in red and black, or even paint your nails in these colors. It is thought that the dead will think you are one of them if you have black nails. And avoid whistling at night. This can attract more ghosts. Make sure you never go swimming, as spirits of drowning victims may pull you under and try to make you share their fate. So, if you're ever traveling in Asia during this time of year, make sure to be very observant of what's going on around you, and be very respectful. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed these stories. If you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. I'll be back tomorrow with another Halloween special. True scary stories of Halloween. This will be people's personal encounters with horrifying things on Halloween. Until then, I'll see you on All Hallows Eve.